Hey folks, so today we're going to go through the process of importing assets and messing with the material editor and understanding how UV maps work. So this is kind of what we're going to be importing. Cute little picture of a dog on um, on a vending machine. We're going to import the 3D model itself, and then we're also going to import uh, the texture, and we're going to apply an emissive texture to this on top of the initial diffuse texture. Yeah, so without any further ado, let's go back into 3ds Max, and we are going to import this 3D tool. So the 3D example. So if you go onto Canvas, you'll see that there's the this folder here, imported assets, tutorial task assets link. If you click on that, you should be able to download the assets. You'll get this, which is this vending machine folder. And yeah, within that, I've also got this file here, but that you won't have that in here. You'll have these elements. Um, yeah, the one we're going to be worried about just for now is the FBX. So I'm just going to, you won't need to do this bit, but I want to show you it just so you have an understanding of how this works. Um, so, give that a quick sec. Just going to plonk that in there. So, what we're going to have for this project is I'm going to kind of show you the process of actually exporting from 3ds Max. So the first thing that you need to know and understand is that depending on where, well, we can get rid of that. We don't need the pour. This is actually for another video game. But we don't need the pour button for now. But this where the object is placed in the scene when it's exported is really important in terms of its pivot point in Unreal. If you exported it in this position here, it's the little gizmo. This thing here would be positioned at the center of that grid, and you wouldn't be able to adjust that in Engine. So you've got to do it at this point here. So you can just adjust these numbers down here. Set that to 0. That's nice and centralized. If you are wanting to alter the pivot point, just out of those curious, you can adjust the pivot point from in here, in this window here. And then you can adjust that however you want. Click toggle it on, adjust, and then set it back. You won't probably need to deal with that, but it's just good to know. The next kind of important thing is the unit setup. So for what we're doing, you want standardized unit scales. So using centimeters is nice and easy. What you don't want is generic units because they're much harder to kind of quantify, and you can end up with situations where like your objects may be ridiculously overscaled, so like this is the size of a skyscraper, or maybe it's the size of a matchbox. So using centimeters is a good way to kind of keep things proportionate. And then under system unit setup, you also want to make sure those are set to centimeters as well. You don't want to mismatch on that, or that's going to cause you some confusion. Yeah, so then other than that, the only other thing I'll quickly show you is how to do, just give me a quick sec. The only other thing I'm going to quickly show you how to do is how to export a UVW, which is like the kind of the unwrapped texture of the object. So yeah, basically what we're going to do is just going to apply an extra modifier to this. And what we're going to do is, if I just pop this open, just scroll down. you'll see that we've got this view here. And yeah, this is basically like the flattened version of our object. So if I just quickly turn on the texture pattern, you can see that like this object here has got the texture kind of distributed nice and evenly. You can see that these sections on top and bottom here use less texture space. You can see that these little spots here are used for the tops and bottoms because they're not going to get seen. And yeah, then you've got a lot of detail on the front of these surfaces here. So, yeah, when you would want to export a texture, what you would want to do is do File, Tools, Render UVW Template, and then you can just click this button here. And then you can export that and then save that as a separate image. Yeah, and then once you've done that, you've got that file that you can work with, and then you're set. So what we're going to hop on to next is actually exporting our object. So if we go File, Export, you might want to do Export Selected if you've got multiple files. You can just do vending machine, so I'll call this vending 2. And it'll give you your options. Most of this can stay the same. You probably just want to untick these if you've got them active because we don't need any of this stuff. We just need the geometry of the model. And then other than that, it's just a matter of making sure you've got the right units, that the axis is correct because sometimes things come through sideways. Yeah. And then if there's any of these that you want to have active, you can kind of have them on or off based on your preference. So that's kind of like the initial just kind of run through of how to get stuff exported from 3ds Max. In the next video, what I'm going to do is the process of actually bringing this asset into Unreal. So this will be like a brief initial one, and then we'll have the second part that we'll release afterwards. Okay.